welcome back to another episode of the Rootshell Security Tech Talk. I think we're at episode 4 now, and I sincerely hope that you are enjoying them as much as I am giving them. So I have a few things to cover off in this particular tech talk. Later we'll be talking to Dr. Neil Kettle, who heads up the research and development arm here at Rootshell Security. Dr. Neil Kettle is going to be talking about a kernel bug, however was seemingly or consequently fixed by a hardware upgrade, believe it or not, moving from what was PowerPC at the time to an Intel based hardware infrastructure. Now, I want to thank you all of you that's actually responded to some of the previous tech talks that we've done around the smishing sort of demonstrations and the attacks that I've been talking about there, and some of the campaigns. I sincerely hope that you've enjoyed what we've talked about there, and that I hope that it's helped you and understand how you can protect yourself and your loved ones. And finally, I want to be touching on something. We've had some queries essentially from a few viewers, and they've all wanted to know really what this Rootshell Red Force thingy is. And you might have seen me wearing one of these hoodies last time, so we're going to dig into that as well. So without further ado, let's get on with the 4th episode. Okay, so what is Rootshell's Red Force? $1 million question. Simply put, it's Rootshell Security's Red Team, or their simulated attack team. Rootshell leverages something called the PRISM platform, and this provides the Red Force team with threat intelligence driven assessment. Rootshell's PRISM platform and Red Team as a service leverages that real-time, relevant, timely and actionable information to locate, to identify and enumerate risks and threats against your organisation. By having this knowledge, PRISM engagements are an enabler, if you like, for the Rootshell Red Force team to mimic those cyber adversaries, their methods, their modus operandi, their tactics, their techniques and their procedures, in order to simulate the malicious actions carried out by the threat actors. And this helps us to utilise the intelligence to deliver a tailored attack against your organisation, your brand or your employees. So to summarise, cyber threat intelligence or CTI-led engagement provide a number of benefits. The best way for an organisation to essentially ready themselves for an advanced type attack is to have some kind of playbook, a run book if you like, know what to experience and how to deal with it. And essentially it's what to do and how to react in times of those attacks. A CTI-led engagement or an assessment will help you identify an attacker's modus operandi, or their TTPs, their tactics, techniques and procedures. And once having that experience, and you've experienced such a thing, you can then create a battle plan. To create this, you need to understand your exposure, your vulnerabilities, and experience really an APT, or an advanced persistent threat or an attack, where an organisation has never experienced such type of attack before. They really wouldn't know how to act or what they should be doing in that time of smashing that glass and actually having to defend themselves, if you like. CTI-led engagements help to prepare you, learn what to look for, and also how to recover, essentially enhancing that defence agility, essentially understanding your threat profile. Rootshell's Red Force or Red Team simulator attack team deliver engagements, and they leverage that CTI or that cyber threat intelligence, and this brings the realism to the table for an organisation, to really experience the journey of a real attack life cycle. CTI engagements provide that complete vision pathway, and by identifying and showing you the risks and the threats, of course, associated essentially with your organisation, you can stress test your defences. And this is where the Red Force will be able to do that, which in conclusion then puts you, the decision maker, the CISO or the IT security manager, etc., in the driving seat, if you like, to make better informed decisions, giving that situational awareness and that elevation over the organisation, so you can then protect your brand, your staff and your clients. Okay, so let's press on. Today we have Dr. Neil Kettle with us. Neil, I think we've kept the viewers waiting long enough. How are you, mate?
Yes, Sean, I'm all fine. Thanks for asking.
Good. Okay. Do you want to give us this demo then, mate, that we've all been patiently waiting for?
Okay, let me share my screen, and you should be seeing it now. So this is a vulnerability that was a vulnerability that never was, I should say, primarily because it turned out not to actually be exploitable for reasons I'll get to later. It's a would have been a remote kernel code execution in the Mac OS X kernel in the AppleTalk stack, which turned out not to be exploitable for a rather interesting reason. So the actual vulnerability itself is contained in this code here. So we actually get a stack-based buffer overflow in the GNI reply buffer, which is declared as 128 bytes in size. The reason for the overflow is the code attempts to create a reply to a network request containing zone information that we can control. So how do we control the zone information? Well, we do it using another piece of code in the kernel, the zip reply received function, which is reachable from the network. And as the documentation says, it says we received a reply to one of our queries, update the zone bitmap and stuffs with what was received. One of the problems with the protocol was there was no way for the kernel to know that the reply was actually meant for the system that was due to parse it. So we can poison the zone table with any information we like. However, there is somewhat of a problem. Line 1482, network count, is read from the packet. We can see that it is declared as an unsigned character, taken a single byte dereferenced from our packet. It's then converted from network byte order to host byte order as a short, and then moved back into an unsigned character. And then we do a loop around the number of networks to parse. So why was that a problem? Well, back in the day, 15 years ago, Macs were PowerPC, which is big endian. So if we take a look at what we have here, if we give a network count of 0100 on the wire, when we dereference it as an unsigned character, we get 01. We extend that to a short because of the network to host byte order call. So we get 0001. And then if we do a network to host byte order short on that, on a big endian machine, PowerPC's big endian, we convert network host byte order to big endian, which is the same, which is to say a no operation. We get the exact same output, 0001. And if we shorten that to a character, we get 1, exactly as we intended. So here we highlighted the bytes in question, and we do indeed get the exact answer that we want to see on a PowerPC. However, back in the day, 13 years ago, or thereabouts, Apple moved from PowerPC to Intel, which of course is little endian. And we have a developer bug, which unfortunately made the bug unexploitable for the following reason. So we have the same thing on the wire, 0100. We have the same dereference as an unsigned character, as 01. We extend that to a short, but in this case, because we're little endian, least significant byte first, we have 0100. When we convert to network host byte order to short, to host byte order short, we get 0001. And when we shorten that to a character, we get 0. And those are the differences between PowerPC and Intel. The crux of the matter is that no matter what we give for the network count, we will always get 0 on an Intel, completely breaking the Apple protocol and fixing the bug. It's the first time I've ever seen a software bug fixed in hardware. And the crux of the matter is that on Intel Little Endian, the compiler constant folds the next network count variable, since it can never be greater than 0, and thus it compiles out the entire loop after line 1492. Meaning, we can never poison the zone list, and thus we can never actually trigger the overflow on an Intel. Apple fixed a remote kernel code execution bug by moving their hardware from PowerPC to Intel.
thanks for that, Neil. So I guess it was kind of fixed by chance, changing that hardware. Do you know what? I guess really this could have been a really devastating, sort of vulnerability, right?
Well, this would have hurt anybody with a Power PC to the extent of remote kernel mode code execution on any network that any Mac was on, provided it was listening on the AppleTalk stack. So it would have been rather horrendous back in the day if somebody had discovered this.
That's great. And as always, Neil, any words of wisdom for the viewers?
Yes. If you're a kernel developer, always try and match the protocol specification.
So there you have it. Thanks, Neil. Appreciate your time. So just for a heads up, we're going to be having a few guests in the Tech Talks regularly over the next few weeks. So be sure to drop in and give us a look. But until next time, take care and look after yourself and your family. Goodbye.